Welcome everyone to episode 2 with Joel Gabrielson. This is the second time we're working together, and it's very similar to the first one that I already posted a BTS on. We are at the Hilton at the Atlanta airport. As you can see, this beautiful frame behind me looks really good right now. It is pretty bright, but luckily with the tinted windows and stuff, we can make it work where you can still see outside, but we're still pretty much lit inside. We built this setup last night, which we'll have a segment in this video to show how or why we did it. They shot interviews late at night, but they decided that they want to do the same thing, continue tomorrow. So I'm on interview duty, not conference room camera duty. So I'll be up here on the 17th floor, and we'll be shooting with participants from the conference. They are bringing them up here to shoot on this setup. And this setup is literally the same as yesterday, except I'm gonna ditch this chair because there's only one person gonna be in here with a director sitting roughly where my camera is. The camera of choice is right there. It's on sticks with a 35. We've got this 600X right here, and we're utilizing the view that is the Atlanta airport, and you can see flights taking off. You can see tons of planes parked. UPS, I think FedEx has a depot right here. We're on the side of the cargo terminal facing a couple of the runways that go that way. Look at me now. Look at me now. We're using this one mic. I'm just gonna monitor audio with headset through the FS5. This isn't my setup, this is Joel's setup, and it matches the rest of it. So because we have 4 interview stations plus the actual conference room. So there's 2 identical interview stations that are built in 2 small conference rooms. There's one big conference room where all the people sit and the presentations go on. And there's a man on the street interview section just outside the conference room. So when they come out, they'll have the ability to talk to somebody and answer a couple questions or tell their story. And we're capturing stories, that's all we do. Because everybody who comes here has a pretty unique story and they are very interesting. So they want to put it into the video as testimonials and just generally using it to promote this program. So we're gonna do this video a little bit differently. It is a BTS video, but you're not gonna hear from me as much. So I had Joel do the BTS while I was shooting it for him. So let's hear from the man himself.
Here we are at Convention Center in Atlanta. We just got done filming, but I'm gonna walk you guys through kind of what this was. So I was hired for a 2-day conference here locally in Atlanta. I drove down from Little Rock with a couple crew members. I think in total we had 6 crew members, and they were all hired individually just for this event. So we had a lot going on over the last 2 days. We had conference coverage, we had man on the street interviews, we had 2 breakout rooms, and we even had a third breakout room for a third set for interviews, which was filmed up in a suite. But let me go ahead and give you guys kind of a quick breakdown on what we were capturing in this room in particular. So we had a 4-camera setup here. We weren't capturing and streaming, we were just capturing, and we're gonna edit later in post. But we had 2 Sony FS5s as kind of our A and B camera, and then we had another 2 Sony FS5s on the wings that were capturing more content for the audience. So this was our A and B follow cam, and then we had a PowerPoint with the presenter. As far as lighting, we tried to keep it pretty simple. We had a couple LED panels. We didn't want to take up too much space in this room because we were kind of crowded. We didn't want to set up an 8x or a 6x or big lanterns, so we decided to go with LED panels, which is a hard light, but it was still able to work. And then we also, as far as audio, we had 4 channels of wireless audio. We had 2 lavs and 2 handhelds for Q&A. Here we are on set. We had to set this up like super quick. I think it was 22 minutes and we had everything kind of roughed in. So I'll walk you through what we have. For cameras, we have two Sony FS5s, one with a 35 millimeter lens, the other one with a 50 to 100. So this is going to be our main shot, and this is going to be our tight close up. And then since we have 3 people that we have to light, we have to have a nice spread of light. So we're using the aperture 600X with the lantern, and this will give us a pretty wide coverage. So it's going to be a little bit flat. I would usually like a little bit more shape to the faces, but it is what it is. We only had 20 minutes to set up, so this is what we're working with. And for a backlight, we have a Astra light panel. This is the soft panel, and this is just giving us a nice little separation from the background because we are shooting towards the door, which is kind of a darker color. So we need a little bit of separation. We did move like all the furniture. Originally they had couches and all that. So we had to get all the furniture out of the way so we could put in the stools and make it look nice. And then in this room here, originally we had the door closed and it looked pretty ugly. So we ended up opening it, and then we put a light inside here, and that's kind of giving us a little more depth, and you're able to see a little bit more as opposed to it being like super flat. We did have some practicals. I would have wanted this to be more tungsten, but we're just working with the stuff we have. We're very limited on equipment. Luckily, we did have like 6 DPs here to help set everything up, which was super clutch. Because if it was just me, there is no way I could get it done in 20 minutes. The key component to this whole entire thing is the Zhiyun C100. This is still one of my favorite lights. Oh yeah, so we had to get creative and Jimmy rig this lamp. Usually this was just on the ground, but we wanted to raise it up to avoid seeing all this AC unit here in the thermostat. It was super ugly, so we had to like figure out something that we could put here. It would have been super nice if this was like a plant or something, but I think it works for what it is. So
this is test footage. I am looking into the lens and the microphone is pointed to my chest. I think it needs a little bit of adjustment because I have moved out the rest of the stools. And what we're gonna do is do one-on-one interviews with people coming from the conference. I did reframe this so that you can see outside because you can see actually the Atlanta airport. And I also have adjusted this hair light a little bit. Now it is much brighter than last night, obviously. So the light had to be boosted significantly. We were under 20% last night, and now this 600X is at 60%. And I also changed it to 5600 Kelvin because with the daylight, I had to match the white balance because there's so much daylight coming in that the ambient was already making everything look very blue with our 4300 Kelvin setup last night. So I switched it to 56, switched the light, kept the light panels at 3200 for the hair light, and this way I can match the room with the outdoors.
So this is one of our sets that we have for today's shoot. This is a breakout room for a conference. So on this set, we're capturing interviews, one-on-one interviews with people. And a typical conference room is not very nice. So sometimes the walls are just very plain, they don't have any furniture, and it just is not conducive for filming. So I thought on these shoots we would bring in some set decorations and as well as a background, because that's always huge, is you don't want it to look like you're in a conference room. We're using 2 Sony cameras, one FS5, which is an older Sony camera, and then we're using an FX3. Now this isn't ideal. I wouldn't usually want to mix and match these kinds of cameras together, but for this job, we needed 9 camera packages, and I wanted to make sure that at least they were all Sony, and we're shooting S-Log3. So it is gonna be a little bit easier to match up and post.
So we just put this little interview setup together right here. I got this stand from my car, and Joel had the camera and the light.
So we just wrapped here at the Atlanta shoot for the last 2 days we've been filming. It's been a lot of long nights, early mornings, you know, usual conference work. There's just a ton of stuff going on, but it's been really fun being able to hire local crew. I hired 2 locals here that were able to help with you know, travel and stuff, and then I hired a Little Rock crew as well. I had 3 guys come out with me from the Little Rock area, and it's just been amazing being able to work with really talented people and just know that they're gonna be able to land. I just tell them like, hey, this is what we need, and they're just able to make it work. So that's the power of YouTube, I feel like, is just networking. I never would have met David if I wasn't for YouTube. And being able to see the work that he does on YouTube and just knowing he's a solid guy, I can hire him for a shoot when I'm down this way, and it's gonna work out perfect. And then even working with Osiris, who is based in Atlanta as well. He was an awesome crew member for the day. So yeah, I mean, just being able to network, I think, is key for stuff like this. Depending on what state you're in, it's always nice just being able to work with locals and meeting new people and just growing your network.
But look at me now. I used to crash on a couch. Now I got cash in the bank. Look at me now.
I figured the best place to finish up this YouTube video is Joel's actual set that he built. This isn't the set that we did the tour on. This is the opposite side, which he did mention that he built 2. It's just one is facing the right and one is facing the left. So I decided to just do it in this room, which was used during the day to record many interviews from all the participants, just like how you saw in the suit or on the Man on the Street setup. And so I figured I'll just say goodbye in this one. Thank you, Joel, for inviting me again. I always like to see how others are doing the same type of jobs that I like to do, because there's always pieces to learn from. We did a lot of troubleshooting and fixed a lot of stuff. I think the overall output will be great. I heard some great stories, and I'm sure all the people who were running these rooms heard lots of great stories, so I can't wait to hear some of the feedback and maybe some finished samples at the end to see what this will look like. Because even the first one that I worked with Joel was a really good experience, and I saw the results, and that was even better. They actually played that video, and I had a little cameo in it in front of the group as an example of what this looks like at the end, because he used B-roll from behind the scenes too in that project. So thank you again, Joel, to inviting me and Osiris to this shoot, and we'll be here for the next one.